What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching me, my name is Jay. I'm a retired Green Beret out of 3rd Special Forces Group. Guys, the intent behind this channel is to share my knowledge and wisdom with the next generation. So if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe to help me reach that goal. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't noticed, guys, the last week or so, I really haven't been posting anything on YouTube. And it's because I'm a big fan of doing what I preach, right? So this last week, I took the week off and I went and I did some hard shit, right? I went down to Disney World, guys. I spent a week down there. And if you're one of those macho, super A-type dudes that just think you can crush everything, I challenge you to take a week off, go to Disney World, be around that crowd, be around all those foreigners, and see how you end up, guys. But with all that said, while I was down there, the family and I, we stayed over at Shades of Green. Shades of Green is a resort that is geared towards servicing the military. We had an awesome stay, awesome hotel. The only advice I would have for them was to maybe put a bigger gym in there, right? So whenever I go down, I have a decent place to work out. But while I was down there, guys, I was able to stick to my routine. Wake up at 4:30, go down to the gym, get a workout in, grab some coffee, catch up on financial news, so on and so forth, right? One of those days while I was at the gym, I ran into an old timer that was in there. He's a Vietnam era Special Forces guy, and I'm a big fan of just learning from my elders. So while I was down there, I saw him and I approached him, and then him and I grabbed some coffee and we got to talking, right? While I was speaking with him, we started to venture on several different topics, and we got to the topic of African Americans and Special Forces. And it's something that I'm always curious about, right? Because me being a African American myself, being over a 3rd Special Forces Group, I noticed there wasn't a lot of black folks around, right? Now, I didn't really give a shit. I didn't let that hamper my ability to do my job or my ability to challenge myself, right? I don't really care about that type of stuff. I grew up in New York City, melted pot within itself. So when I joined the military, like, I didn't really have a chip on my shoulder to say, hey, I'm the only black dude here, like, what's going on? I didn't really give a fuck about any of that, right? I was just there to do my job to the best of my abilities, protect my brothers to my right and to my left, and then we did work. That was it, right? But we got on the topic and we started to talk about it, and the more he spoke on that topic, the more I realized that I don't really know a lot about this specific topic, mainly because, again, I didn't really care, right? I went in the military and I wanted to do it to the best of my abilities. That's what I've always thought about. I never really thought about how certain upbringings or certain situations can affect a certain group of people's ability to serve at the highest level. He started breaking it down, and when we got on the topic of soft diversity, this is what he said. Soft doesn't have as many black people, probably because of the same reason why sports and entertainment has so many black people. And I sat back and I started to digest that. If you look at the NBA, if you look at the NFL, you'll realize, like, okay, well, we are physically gifted. So why is that in a specialty that requires, you know, you to be in shape and you to perform at the highest level? Why is that not, you know, at least a 50-50 mix? And he went a little bit deeper into the topic, guys, and he mentioned that, hey, check it out, it's because of the social culture. That being growing up in Detroit, growing up in Chicago, growing up in Brooklyn, growing up in Long Island, or wherever. As an African American, you see mostly your football players, you see mostly your LeBron James, your NBA players, you see your rap superstars, and those are the folks that young kids, young boys grow up idolizing. So automatically, they're gonna gravitate towards wanting to be that. You don't see any Navy SEAL posters. You don't see any Marksmanship commercials. You don't see any Green Berets out there. Even in the movies, guys, most of those badass dudes, they don't look like those guys from the inner cities. So in closing that topic, he was like, to fix that, to bridge that gap, we need to give those young black kids growing up in those inner cities someone else to idolize. So they're not idolizing the gangbangers. So they're not idolizing the LeBron James. So they're not idolizing the Michael Jordans. And it's a perspective that I never really looked at, right? And the more I thought about it, the more sense it made, because as I thought back to my younger years up in Brooklyn, who did I have to idolize, right? Michael Jordan, big fan of his, right? Jay-Z, big fan of his. I didn't see any Marsoc, any Navy SEAL, any Green Beret posters lingering around Crown Heights or Canarsie where I grew up. I didn't see any of that, right? So I truly understood where he was coming from, and that made sense to me, and that's a perspective that I never really thought of. Now, the second thing he mentioned as to why soft wasn't iodized verse was, hey, check it out. Most of these kids, most of these African Americans are leaving the inner cities to get away from, violence, to get away from being shot at every day, to get away from watching their buddies die on the regular. And some of them, the only outlet they have is joining the military. So in joining the military, they're not trying to go back to the front lines and serve as a Ranger, as an SF guy, as a SEAL, as a Marsoc dude, because they don't want to go back on the front lines of being shot at, right? They want that safe, cushy job that they can do for 3 or 4 years. That's going to get them to honorable discharge. And then they're going to get out, present that piece of paper to an employer who's going to see that, hey, they served the military, and hopefully they'll get a good job. That's another reason why we don't see African Americans on the front lines fighting at the highest level. It has a lot to do with their experience growing up. And as he started to speak wisely on that topic, like, I had no bone in that fight, right? Because again, growing up in, Haiti and moving to the States and being focused on learning the language, and then as soon as I was able to, I joined the military. I don't have that experience of being shot at and being, in gangbangs. Like, I didn't have all that experience because my mom made sure that we stayed pretty much in a cocoon as we were trying to figure out how to learn the language and how to be an American. And the more he spoke, the more I sat back and the more I realized, like, holy shit, this is a different perspective from what I know. And it made perfect sense. So why am I sharing this with you? So I'm sharing this with you to pretty much make you understand that, hey, soft is not diverse, not by design, but by choice. Most of these African Americans that are coming in, they just don't want to serve in those roles. It's not because soft is racist or dudes are protecting the tab. It's because, again, most of the guys coming in just don't want to do that job. And that's a different perspective that I had to grasp, that I had to, make sense to me. And the more I thought about it, the more sense it started to make. However, I know there's a few out there that wants to serve at the highest level. I know there's a few out there that wants to do the job. And in this video, I want to address those few. I want to let them know that, hey, check it out, man. Like, you can do this. There's nobody out here guarding the tab. There's nobody out here waiting to, throw racist slurs at you. If you want to do the job, come do it. And for those that don't, it is what it is, right? I still respect you the same. So it has nothing to do with the swim test. It has nothing to do with we're not smart enough. It has nothing to do with that, guys. And if we want to change what soft looks like to look like our society, then we need to give some of these kids someone else to idolize. We need to give them the operators that are on posters. We need to give them the operators that are in the commercials and the movies that look like them. So when they see that guy, they can be like, holy shit, that dude's badass. I want to be like him. Instead of saying, holy shit, LeBron James is badass, I want to be like LeBron James. I think that's what it comes down to, guys. But I just wanted to jump on here, guys, and share this with you. Again, if you're interested in going to selection, guys, or if you're interested in mentorship, or if you're interested in just being an overall badass, check out the Patreon, guys. There I have several different links that's going to help you get towards your goal. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.